Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking about kefir and respiratory health. Kefir has long been used to support respiratory health, especially during cold and flu season. And I have seen this personally myself, that kefir helps so wonderfully with anybody who has a respiratory infection. And I've also gotten countless emails of people who have shared with me how it's helped them, and even people who've gotten off their asthma inhalers. And there's a lot of people who've told me that. It was one of the first things I noticed about kefir, that it worked very powerfully on the lungs. The probiotics in kefir, lactobacilli is one of the big ones, works to balance the immune system, which can reduce the severity and frequency of respiratory infections, asthma, and more. So, one of the very first friends I ever told about cultured foods, she was actually the very first, had a little boy with asthma. And his name was Dakota, and he loved kefir. And she started making it, giving him a smoothie every day. I can remember her telling me that he loved Cantaloupe's kefir smoothies, where she'd take cantaloupe and put it in kefir and blend it in a blender, and he loved that one. And so she started making him a smoothie daily. Now, within, I don't even know how long it was. I can't remember because it's been so long. But he got off his asthma inhaler pretty quick after he started drinking kefir, and he began to live a really normal life. I was quite surprised and thrilled that it worked so rapidly because I didn't know it would do that. So after consuming kefir regularly, he stopped needing his inhaler altogether. And then I think it was like 6 to 8 months where she stopped giving him kefir because she got busy, or it was summertime. I can't remember what it was. And one morning, her 7-year-old son was standing in front of the refrigerator with big tears rolling down his cheeks, saying, "Mom, I feel my asthma coming back. I need my kefir. You haven't been giving me my kefir." And she was so shocked that he knew he needed his kefir, but that it had kept it at bay this whole time. The connection between gut and lung health is known as the gut-lung axis. And it suggests that improving your gut microbiome through regular kefir consumption can also benefit your respiratory system. It's simple, it's effective way to overall do the wellness, that it will enhance wellness in your body by helping your immune system. Now, research has shown that kefir can reduce inflammations in the lung and the airways, often associated with things like allergies and asthma. And I've seen that personally myself, and through many of the emails I get from people. These live microorganisms that are present in kefir seem to naturally suppress allergic reactions and aid in changing the body's response to allergies. It just seems to calm it all down. Now, many scientists even believe that these allergic reactions that people get are a result of good bacteria in the gut that's missing. And I see that every single day in my business. If you have food allergies especially, or even allergies of any kind, often it's because, and they have done studies of this all around the world, it's because you're missing certain strains of bacteria in your gut. Now, I have a whole article on this called Fermented Foods and Asthma that can help explain to you why that hypothesis is correct on so many fronts, that people who have developed food allergies and things like that are missing the gut bacteria. Often they're killed with antibiotics or environmental things, but once they're restored, the allergies go away. Kefir has powerful peptides in them that also show a promise of reducing pulmonary inflammation caused by things like air pollution and things that we breathe into our lungs, to help protect and heal our lung tissue. By lessening inflammatory cell infiltration and decreasing the expression of inflammatory mediators in the lungs, kefir offers a natural way to support your respiratory health. I've seen amazing things with kefir in the lungs. Now, these are some testimonies I have, and I have a lot of them. I have some recent ones. For many years, I've gotten emails about kefir and helping with people who have had any kind of lung issue. And one time, in the very early days of making cultured foods, I ran into a woman at the health food store who had come to one of my classes. She was over the moon excited to tell me that her husband no longer needed his asthma inhaler after 15 years of use, just by having kefir every single day. She said she was a believer and the power of these foods that could work like medicine. And just recently, a close family friend who is actually going to be my daughter's new mother-in-law. My daughter's engaged, and it's going to be her new mother-in-law. Suddenly came down with uncontrollable coughing to the point where she would just throw up. It was so bad that she couldn't stop. She also started developing food allergies, especially to things like I think she was having trouble with gluten, and there was a lot of things that started perking up that she'd never had before. She went to the doctor, and they actually tested her for food allergies, and she didn't have any. And she was really surprised by that because she had such flare-ups whenever she would eat certain foods. And so the only thing they really came up with was what they had been doing, and that was just give her another antibiotic. But she'd been taking so many antibiotics that she finally asked me for help. And I said, well, if you keep taking antibiotics and don't build up the good bacteria, things will just get worse and worse, which was what was happening. And I remember her looking at me going, okay, that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to try this. So I gave her Easy Kefir, which is made from flash frozen kefir grains. It's just a powder. And I knew that if I didn't give her something easy, she wasn't going to do it. So she tried it and she loved it. And it immediately worked for her. She stopped coughing. She stopped being allergic to food. And as long as she had it every day, she didn't have any problems. But if she'd go a couple days without it, the symptoms and problems would come back. And she thought she was losing her mind because she goes, I can't, is it just because I believe in it? Is it placebo effect? And I said, no, I see this all the time. And I said, it really works on the lungs. And so it made her a believer, which is a great thing because I never try to convince people. I always wait till they ask me for help. And if they do, then I try to help them. And so now she drinks it every day, sometimes twice a day. She took it on a cruise with her to Alaska. She takes it. She's a teacher, so she has it in her classroom every morning. She tells her kids that it's her food. It's like a medicine. And she said it's just an amazing thing for it's just to be a food, not a drug, that has really healed her from the inside out. But your microbes do a lot of things that we don't realize. They have so many properties and so many things they're doing inside the body that we don't understand. And it's just a testimony to her that it works. I didn't have to convince her. These foods speak for themselves, and they convinced her without me even having to go into it too much. So that's what I love about these foods. They just work. We actually have some more testimonies on my Lives Touch page, and I'll put that link in the article. So if you go to you can go see that in the description of the article and click on that. There's some pretty amazing stories in there. So I put some of those in there that will help you to different people have told about what different fermented foods do. Lactobacillus plantarum, which is in cultured vegetables, also helps your respiratory system really well because it's of the species Lactobacilli. And that's another one that's in kefir and in cultured vegetables that really helps the lungs. And there's some good stories on there that you might want to read and have understanding as to what works. I had one lady tell me that she was in a windstorm and she was in her car and she got out of her car and she saw her cooler in the back that had cultured vegetables in it. And she was having an asthma attack. So she grabbed the jar and swigged it down and it stopped it immediately. And she said even her inhaler wouldn't work that fast. And that made her really a believer in cultured vegetables. And the Lactobacillus plantarum that's in cultured vegetables, which is also in kefir, that was so effective for her too. They both work really well. And it's one of the interesting things that we have found is that, often they don't know why they work, but there's more and more evidence coming out that they do work. So let's go over some of the things that we talked about of why kefir is so beneficial for lung health. Number one, it strengthens the immune system. And like I said, the Lactobacillus strain is one of the most important ones for that. And whenever you have a healthier immune system, that means you fend off illnesses like colds, bronchitis, and even pneumonia more effectively. Two, kefir has huge anti-inflammatory properties. Inflammation in your respiratory tract is a common issue in conditions like asthma, chronic bronchitis, or even allergies. Kefir's anti-inflammatory properties help reduce that inflammation in the lung They ease your symptoms and promote better breathing. Number three, kefir is rich in nutrients. It's packed with essential nutrients like vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, all of which are vital for healthy respiratory function. Vitamin D has been known to support lung health by boosting immunity and reducing inflammation. Another thing it does is it fights respiratory infections. Probiotics found in kefir can help balance that gut microbiome, which can get out of balance and is closely linked to the health of other body systems, including the respiratory system. And a balanced microbiome can even reduce the severity of respiratory infections and make the frequency of colds and flus last significantly shorter amounts of time. And we also have the help with allergies and asthma. Some studies show that regular consumption of kefir can improve symptoms of allergies and asthma by, modulating the immune system, promoting healthy immune responses. And kefir may reduce the overactive reactions, your body's overreacting to something that cause symptoms like wheezing and shortness of breath. It can help calm that down really effectively. It cleanses. Kefir is very good at cleansing and detoxifying the lungs because of the beneficial yeast that are probiotic in nature. They are very cleansing to the lungs. This can help eliminate mucus buildup in the respiratory tract, and it's particularly helpful if you've had like a cold or a flu where you have a lot of mucus in your lungs, and it will allow for better airflow and quicker healing. So how much do you drink of kefir to get these benefits? Drinking 1 to 2 cups of kefir daily for the best benefits. Start out with 1. That's what I do most of the time. And whether you're recovering from a respiratory infection or simply wanting to boost your lung health, I usually make a smoothie, or a lot of times I'll mix a few tablespoons of chia seeds in them to thicken it. And I'll, put some fruit in it and let it sit in the fridge for a few hours, and it gets thick like pudding. I like that especially with mango. I love it with mango and strawberries. I'll have that in the mornings. But kefir smoothies are super easy because just throw frozen fruit and kefir together and you've got a really delicious smoothie. And it helps every day to do it. It makes such a difference to incorporate it to your life. It's filling. I add other things to it. I add some protein powder or, collagen powder to my smoothie. And I love the way it thickens it and makes it taste better. And it just helps keep your respiratory system in peak condition. But not only that, it helps with blood pressure and blood sugar and your mood. It's just a fabulous way to help your microbiome be as strong and healthy as it can, because kefir has, 50 plus bacteria and good yeast in it that really help your microbiome reset itself and flourish. So it's really more than just a drink. It really works as a healer from the inside out in your body, and it nourishes every system. And I absolutely have it every day. I love it. Now, there are 2 ways to make kefir. We have easy kefir powder, which is made from flash frozen kefir grains. And you have the same benefits in that as you do the kefir grains. You just don't have to have kefir grains you have to take care of. Because the other way to make it is with kefir grains. They look like, little cauliflower sized things that are spongy. But you do have to take care of them and have it make kefir every day or almost every day, because it doesn't like to be in the fridge. Kefir grains don't like being in the fridge. They get sluggish. They can eat themselves. They like to be making kefir every day. So it's kind of like having a pet. But I make it every day anyway. And they grow and multiply. They double in size every week if you make kefir every day. And they just keep going. I've had mine for 23 years. And they just keep going and growing and multiplying. And it's something that's easy to do. But easy kefir powder, which is made from kefir grains, you don't get grains, but you can take a portion of the jar that you make, like 1/4 of a cup from your first jar, and you'll make another quart. Put that in the bottom, fill it with milk, and you can do it as much as you want. You can double it. You can make it. You don't have to make it every day, so it's a little bit easier. That's why we call it easy kefir, because you can make it when you want, and then you can make as much as you want without having to make kefir grains every day. But I love both of these methods work really well. So just choose the one that suits you. But they both have almost identical benefits. So and they're both they're both the type of kefir that I've been doing both over 23 years. Easy kefir is really good with non-dairy. So if you don't want dairy, we've got like 16 non-dairy recipes for kefir. And I recommend using easy kefir because it's easier than sometimes the nut milk because it's harder to fish out the grains. If you have, you can do it, but easy kefir powder seems to work better for non-dairy. We've seen a lot of benefits with non-dairy, especially coconut kefir. That seems to really do well with people. And so we've got all different ways to do it. And you guys, if you head on over to my website, which is culturedfoodlife.com, we have a start menu. It says start here and has a little smiley pot and has a drop down of everything you need. Everything you need to know how to make everything from kefir to cultured vegetables to kombucha to kefir soda to sourdough breads, einkorn breads. We have everything that you need to make on that menu bar free. Everybody can come see. We also have About It Pro membership, which has a lot more lessons and classes. You get big ebooks every month. We have a Q&A every month with me where you can ask questions, videos. We have a bunch of stuff on my membership site. We just keep adding to it. So, and that is, there's just extra bonuses and a lot more recipes. Although I have a lot on my regular site too. But anyway, those are some extra helps for you. But if you're wanting to get started, you could just get either easy kefir or kefir grains, and all the instructions you need to make it are right there in the instruction booklet. And I also have a little insert inside my pouches where you can see how to make it step by step, which is the easiest cultured food to make, by the way, and has the most benefits because it takes less than 5 minutes to make kefir, and it will last in your fridge for months and months because there's so many probiotics in kefir. So I've had it at 9 months and it was fine. It was really sour, but it was fine. And it preserves the milk, keeps it safe, keeps out pathogens. And it's the easiest cultured food to start with and has the most benefits. So I highly recommend it. Even if you don't have any respiratory problems, it's just great to have in your fridge. It helps so many other things too. So it's the best way to reset your gut. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope you'll try it, and I hope it'll make a difference in your life. As always, I'm just sharing with you things that I've learned and done for the last 23 years. And I'm so excited that it's a food that can really change you from the inside out. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will talk to you next time.